You ever have one of those days where your whole life seems fine, power humming, coffee hot, your biggest worry just another boring board meeting? Then suddenly, in the blink of an eye, someone out there decides to try playing God with your world? Well, that was the day my neighborhood's vice president of the HOA, Karen, decided to bring the hammer down on my so-called grid defiance. And, brother, the chaos that followed. You couldn't script it if you tried. So there I was, sitting in my office, sipping coffee, watching the numbers climb on our company's grid expansion project, feeling pretty good, you know? 88% done. All systems go. Then, bam, my screens go dead. The whole house just flatlines. No lights, no hum from the fridge, not even the AC groaning in the background. For a second, I thought maybe it was the weather, but when I glanced outside, nothing but blue sky, birds doing their thing. Except right on my lawn is Karen, decked out in what looks like a dollar store safety vest, bolt cutters in hand, grinning like she just solved world peace. Now, let me be clear, this isn't your garden variety HOA nag. We're talking about the queen bee of busybodies, the self-appointed ruler of all things shrubbery, mailbox, and apparently now, utility poles. She's made it her mission to sniff out every infraction, like the time she fined a guy over brick colors that were older than her own title as vice president, a job she made up for herself. Today, her big crusade is grid defiance, which, loosely translated, means not paying the HOA's favorite kickback-friendly power contractor. I walk out there, calm as can be, and ask, "Afternoon, Karen. Having a bit of fun, are we?" She flashes that smug grin, tells me I'm in violation for not routing my power through their authorized services, and I can practically smell the rehearsed speech coming. "You had to cut a live line?" I ask. "Standard procedure," she says, waving me off. "You're lucky we didn't just rip out the transformer." I look at the tangled mess she's left, wires everywhere. The whole block's about to learn what Florida heat feels like with no AC. I ask her if she has any idea what she's just done. She sticks her chin up, says she's restoring order. "All this independent power nonsense," she says, "sets a bad example." I tell her straight up, that's because I can ignore the HOA, Karen. I'm not above the rules. I'm just above you. She doesn't like that, not one bit. Threatens fines, says my power stays out until I comply. I mention utility tampering, criminal endangerment. She just shrugs, says no jury will convict her. I almost laugh. She's standing there in pajama pants covered in flamingos, lecturing me about authority. But here's where the story turns. I head back inside, open my secure line to the company, call in an isolated blackout for grid 77B, escalate the incident. 30 seconds later, the lights across the whole HOA street start dying, one by one, house after house, like some slow-motion fireworks finale, except nobody's celebrating. Karen looks up just in time to see her own porch light flicker out. The scream she lets loose? Not pain, not fear, just the unholy sound of someone realizing the power she thought she had was just a cheap costume. Now the neighborhood is dark, except for my house. My backup system flips on, fridge humming, coffee brewing, because, see, my setup is legal, permitted, grid synced, the works. Karen stomps over, absolutely losing it. "How do you have power?" she barks, like the laws of physics are a personal insult. I tell her, again, my system's up to code. She accuses me of tapping in illegally. I let her stew, watching the gears spin, watching her try to catch up. She tries the guilt trip. "You cut off Mrs. Jensen's dialysis." I tell her Jensen's in Phoenix this week. I dropped her groceries off myself. She's grasping, losing her grip. I explain it's all automated. The system flagged her tampering and isolated the node. "No, Karen," I say, "it's just smarter than you." You could hear her rage crackle from halfway down the street. Half an hour later, she's got Bob and Linda, her loyal lieutenants, in tow. Bob, who once wanted to ban Halloween, Linda, who's convinced the birds are government drones. She threatens lawsuits, property condemnation. "Karen," I tell her, "the only thing condemned around here is your understanding of the law." I tell her exactly how my system's legal, how the HOA can't touch infrastructure regulated by the state utility. You'd have to go pretty high to get above that, seeing as I am one of the grid development advisors for Pinnacle Utilities. The realization hits them like a brick. They can't out-bureaucrat me. I wrote half the compliance protocols they're now getting burned by .so. What does Karen do? She escalates. Prints out bogus fine notices, tapes them to my door, under my windshield wiper, you name it. I get everything from a $5,000 sabotage bill to a $25,000 lien for public endangerment. She even puts out a full-page smear in the HOA newsletter, complete with a cartoon house exploding in lightning. It's so over the top I actually laugh. And the real kicker? The security footage she uses to prove my guilt is literally just her, in high def, with bolt cutters. At this point, neighbors are whispering, some nervous, some secretly cheering me on. Karen hosts an angry mob picnic, balloons, lemonade, a petition to remove the non-compliant energy threat in July heat. Most folks just look bored or annoyed, but she's up on her soapbox shouting about property values and sabotage. The more noise she makes, the more people start to look my way for answers. Then the real hammer drops. City inspectors show up, orange vests, clipboards, the works. They walk Karen through every violation, then cross the street and shake my hand. Tell me my wiring is textbook, compliment my grid layout. Hand me a card and tell me to call if she harasses me again. Karen's standing there, watching the whole thing, finally realizing maybe she picked the wrong battle. Next comes the citywide audit, triggered by the complaint I filed, plus a 10-page cease and desist from my corporate legal team. Turns out, Karen's favorite contractor has been bypassing code for years, diverting power, running illegal connections. Suddenly, the board is suspended, Karen's power clause is dead, the neighborhood's voting on new leadership. She's not even invited. As for Karen, she's stuck in her dark house. The city's locked her out of the grid for safety violations, and the only power she's got is a generator humming on fumes. One day, she shows up with a moving truck. No HOA army, just her, sweating as she packs up what's left of her rain. I help the movers with a heavy tub, and for the first time, she just looks defeated. Standing in the shade, she asks, "Why'd you do it?" "Because you cut my power line, Karen. That was illegal." She shakes her head, says she just wanted control. Authority? No, Karen. I say, it gave you a leash, and you thought it was a crown. She nods and disappears inside. And just like that, peace returns. The new council's volunteer run. Neighbors actually wave again, kids play. Linda brings deviled eggs to the picnic. No more fines, no more threats taped to my door. Just warm street lights and quiet nights powered by a grid built right. Sometimes, I walk past Karen's old house, dark, empty, for sale. I pause, take a breath, and think about how easy it is for one person's hunger for control to poison a whole community. But the real lesson? Power isn't about who screams the loudest or who can write the most rules. It's about who takes responsibility, who keeps the lights on for everyone, even when nobody's looking. And if you ever wonder where justice lives, it's probably sipping a cold drink under a string of solar-powered backyard lights, just waiting for the next Karen to try her luck. Now, tell me, who was really in the wrong here? Was I just defending my rights, or did I go too far? What does community even mean when rules become weapons? Let's hear your take, because trust me, every neighborhood has a Karen, and sooner or later, the lights always come back on somewhere.